What's going on, everybody? What's going on? What's going on? It's been a while, but we got to jump right back into this. I want to welcome you to the episode of Destruction and Power. Sean Combs, The Reckoning. You know, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm damn sure not going to lie to you. That series made me upset. It made me upset to a point where it really shows how fucked up our justice system really is in the United States. Tonight, I'm going to hop on and talk about a couple of the parts that people may not have noticed that 50 was trying to highlight. Now, when I say this, I want you to understand that there's no way in hell this man, with all that he did, should have got just 50 months. I'm sorry. There's no way. There's no way he should have got 50 months. One of the key points, before we really start talking about the characters in this series, before we go into the drama with Puffy and 50, I want to highlight one part only that most of y'all may not have noticed. Did you notice? I know you noticed it, but do you know why? Did you notice that every time and right before the end and in the beginning, 50 or the producers of The Reckoning played that whole that clip displaying what Puffy was charged with and how much time he got. Now, we all saw it back and forth continuously. And even myself at one point, I kept saying, how do they keep playing this? But it was to show that all the things that they're showing us, all the evidence that they're presenting to us, that was all he got charged with. That was all he got charged with. There was no way that man should have just got that. Let me explain why. So one, let's point out the fact that our judicial system was really, really messed up. But I think I understand why some of the charges didn't get tossed in. One, everybody is wondering, and I'm going to talk about this from a law enforcement perspective. Everybody's wondering why he didn't get charged with domestic abuse. That would have been clear cut. Bang, bang, lock him up. He's throw away the key for a little bit. Well, he couldn't have got charged with that because Cassidy had already settled. If you remember earlier in the game, Puffy ran off and settled for undisclosed amount, which I think they later, I think it was maybe 5,500,000, something like 500 million or whatever, but she settled. So once a person settles with a case like that, charges can't be brung up because you already signed your NDAs, you already signed the fact that you won't testify or talk about that situation again. Now, what 50 did in that series was brilliant. Beyond brilliant. 50 highlighted his rise all the way to his fall. He showed you how he got into the game, how he got drunk with power, and now how he wind up behind bars. Now I get it. People sit here and say that 50's petty, 50's this, 50 only did that because he had beef with Puff, and 50 didn't care about the witnesses. He didn't care about none of them. I want to say that's a lie. Whether 50 got paid for this or not, whether he got an undisclosed amount of money or not, whatever the situation was, this was bringing the light of what he did, what happened to these people, and how he got caught up. It had to bring the light that this monster has been festering and was in the making ever since that CUNY basketball game in 92. Now, people will sit here and say, well, he couldn't control that and this and that. That was a mistake. You're right. He couldn't control that. But it just go to show you that he skimped on the security. He skimped on the security, had a budget of $500 for security, knowing you was having XYZ amount of people to come through those doors. The whole lawsuit from that time, one of the things that they listed was lack of security. So it shows you he was skimping back then. Now, of course, that's insignificant to the whole game. But it also shows you how far he was willing to go. He over promoted the game. He hyped it up. He did what he did to make himself look good, to put himself out there. He was a go-getter. Most of the successful people like Puff and all of them, they got this animal instinct to continue to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And some guys, some individuals know how to wield that sword. They know how to wield it where they don't let themselves get out of control. But some people, just like drinking alcohol, get too drunk with it and lose control of themselves and everything else around them. Now, nobody released the guy's name for the videography, but we know that all footage was obtained legally because, again, Puffy didn't pay. He decided not to pay. So for anybody that's in the video production game or videographer, everybody knows that if you fail to pay for a service that was rendered, everything goes back to that person and they can do exactly what they want, when they want, without question. And you can't say nothing because you failed to pay. Him failing to pay show the behind the scenes aspect of how this dude fell apart. How desperate he looked, how scared he looked. He got so used to getting off that this time he really thought that he was going through and under. Every witness that was on every witness that was being subpoenaed or that was on the list, he reached out in contact, trying to make amends for whatever he thought he may have done to them, or try to put it in a certain light where they wouldn't speak. He got some of them, but he didn't get all of them. What makes a person get to a level in life like that with money, and all of a sudden, you don't know how to act no more? There's nothing wrong with throwing parties. There's nothing wrong with going out there enjoying yourself. But you have to understand that the people that he came in contact with was hurt dramatically. Let's start with Mr. Burroughs, the co-founder of Bad Boy. Not only did this guy rob this guy of his 25% stake in Bad Boy, but he had this guy do sexual favors and acts. He did all that and humiliated him. The question that you ask, that I ask, that everybody's asking is, why did he stay? We're going to get to that later. Because that's a good reason. But he said in there he wanted to be part of it because he helped and he wanted to see it continue. But then why perform the sexual acts, brother? Why? That's the question. Little Rod, next. produced his whole Love album, did everything, got him that vibe, that feel, brought out that energy. He did all of that. He did all of that on top of himself being raped. I believe it that he did what he did to those two guys, Mr. Burroughs. I believe that he did what he did to Little Rod. Because ain't too many men out here, ain't too many men out here is going to put that on Front Street, that happened to them. You know, but this is where things get misconstrued because you sit here and you think, well, if he allowed him to do it, he continued to stay in it, then he must have liked it. Sometimes you do things in order to survive. In order to survive. And those two individuals, God only knows how many others did what they did to survive. When it comes down to Miss Audrey Day, there was a witness that alleged and reported and signed an affidavit stating that she saw Miss Audrey Day being sexually assaulted. For a better word, SA. I don't know why people use it all the time, but I guess it puts a polish on it. She witnessed her being SA'd. Audrey Day said she don't recall, she don't remember, and you know, it's just something that she blocked out. I don't believe her. I don't believe her. Let me tell you why. I believe Audrey Day was possibly involved into doing whatever she was doing. I do believe that they may have gave her something to loosen up. But I also believe that she was a willing participant in some of those things to get ahead. You know, when you look up Audrey Day is a retired singer, actress, all of this. And I bet you right now, there's not one person in this audience that can point out the last thing they saw Audrey Day in other than a bad boy video. Come on. I don't buy it. I believe somehow she knew what was going on, got caught out there with it, was already taking something. They probably told her to relax her. It was something that she did, and it's something that she blocked out eventually. I believe it, but I don't believe her. I don't. I'm sympathetic towards victims and what they go through. I am. But something didn't quite seem right with that. The only thing I respect of the fact of the matter is that she could have went out there and said that girl was lying. But she said she couldn't have said that because if Puffy was guilty of doing other things to everybody else, they would have used Audrey Day as the reason that these witnesses are lying. So I respect her move on that. I respect her gangster when it comes down to that. But I have a hard time respecting the fact that she knew, and I believe she knew other things, and she kept it out. Let me tell you something. If anything, one thing we do know, that Puffy took care of his ladies. Some of them, not all of them. Puffy took care of his ladies. He did. He made sure they was good. I would not think he would not have took care of her because it looked like from the comments that he was making during making the band and Day 26 and all of them, she was always complimenting her. She may have got something out of the deal. But you got to think about this. People sit here and say 50 is a cold-hearted individual. It's possible. But what people don't understand is, if this stuff don't get put out on Front Street, this guy will continue doing what he's doing without repercussion or without actions taken. Another question. What happened to 112, Carl Thomas, Mary J, Total? What happened to them? No good or bad statements, but then it goes back to what Mace said, and including Mace. You made people sign all these NDAs so they can't say nothing.
Every start with your mother, nigga. I dare this nigga talking about he want receipts. Let's start with your mother, nigga. Your mother got the receipts, nigga. Everything is in your mother's name. That's the one who got the receipts, nigga. You need more proof, nigga? Biggie ain't here, so Big can't give you no receipts. He dead. Craig Mack can't give you receipts. He dead. What are you talking about? Who else? Black Rob can't give you receipts. He dead. And everybody else you made sign paperwork so they can't talk about what I'm talking about. I'm the only one with the guts. You're not signing it, nigga, because I ain't need the money. All money ain't good money. Remember that. Remember that. Remember that, nigga.
But NDAs do expire, but we don't know the terms and agreements. His could be 100 years from now, and then by then, that person's already gone. He was smart enough to get you to sign that, but I bet you he got money out of that. I mean, well, they got money out of that. He had to give him something to sign that, to keep him hush-hush. But people like Little Rod wasn't getting nothing, because you liked it. People like Keith Burrows wasn't getting nothing, because you liked that. That's how he looked at it. That's how he looked at it. That's probably where the phrase he came up, take that, came from. But nobody deserved that. Okay, so let's hold that there, because we still got some more to uncover. Now, let's talk about, so for one, we talked about why Cassidy, domestic violence case, why that wasn't tacked on, because there was a settlement out. The next thing was that the next thing we talked about was Tupac, Biggie. The hit that was put out in Las Vegas, supposedly Puffy was the one who hired the hitman to take out Tupac and Suge Knight. Supposedly. They was able to get, somehow back in the day, they was able to get Keefe D into custody, and they questioned him. Now, these questioning took place back there years ago. Years ago. Keefe D told them exactly what happened. At a party, Puff said, yo, $1 million. $1 million to anyone that can snuff out Tupac and Suge.
It's crazy. Yo, who these cats think they is? Thinking they business round here? Yo, dog, don't even go there. This is ours. We built this from the ground on up. Now it's flowers. I think you best around on up. The entourage, slim chance of y'all getting lost. It's non-cypher. That's because VR's in charge. It's set here. Cass is known for getting wet here and left here till the cops come pick 'em up.
Stepping in territory that's corrupt, pushing your luck. Intruding with shit's already sold up. Nigga, fold up. You and your crew and be ghosts and get slain. This ain't the place to try to gain fame from. You get burnt the streets a nigga worked hard to make. And I'll be damned if I let another brother take it alive for his own sake. They better vacate promptly before they get their ass stomped. Listen, take heed to what we saying, niggas.
See,
Muscle
in this
game.
only the strong will survive, and the weak shall perish.
Muscle
See, a lot of
game.
cats think with they brawn, not with they brain.
Muscle game.
Come on, man. Fuck with me, I'll drop $1 million on your head.
Muscle game.
Race you and your
We
whole
lay
family.
down the muscle
Biatch.
game. We won't lie, sometimes we stick 'em up.
I could snuff out Tupac or Suge. All right, so Keefe D, along with one of his other boys, got down. They did the whole big setup thing. The guy, Keefe D, explained all of this to the detectives. All of this was explained to the detectives, outlining exactly where, what, his car he had, everything. Why didn't they pursue anything? Why were charges not brung up? He outlined everything. I could see if this happened, he got questioned a year ago. Maybe. But this guy got questioned back in the day as a suspect. And he outlined everything from the car they had to this and that, when, how they saw Puffy, and how they saw Tupac, how they was next to them in the ambulance, how the girl screamed out, Tupac, Tupac, outlined all of that before this movie even came out. But yet the police did not pursue a case against Sean Combs. Noted that even that same detective said that Sean Combs was uncooperative. Matter of fact, he impeded the investigation, he said. He impeded the investigation. He impeded it. Why? See, what 50 did was bring to light some real bullshit that show you where we have a failed system when it comes down to justice. He highlighted that. And you can't get mad at him for it. You can sit there and say, oh, 50's being petty, 50's being this, but the guy is highlighting parts. That's a highlight. That's the main question that I have is, why wasn't Sean Combs rung up on everything? If you have the shooter, now mind you, Keefe D is going to trial in 2026. Now, could 50 had put this documentary out so when Keefe D go to trial that they can bring this up and maybe circle back to bring Combs back in? Because if this guy is pointing out something, come on now. He named everything. He named Eric Von Zip that's supposed to be Puffy's uncle or boy. That's undetermined and we don't know quite. But Eric Von Zip is dead now. Orlando Anderson, the guy that rolled with him, did his dirt, is dead now. So you only have two people involved. You have Puffy and you have the shooter. You would think that's enough. Because let me tell you something, if you get a wife who hires to kill her husband, and you get a wife who hires to kill her husband, she gets that killer. The husband get killed. Once you find the shooter puts back the wife. Both people do time. One does more time than the other, but time gets done. You only need the shooter This guy didn't sit here and allege that he overheard. This guy sat there and said him and his boy Orlando did what they did to handle business. Do you see something wrong here? But they never brung up charges. I said this before. Let's go back. No. Okay, we right there. Let's go forward. Kim Porter. He was the only person in her room, in her apartment, the time she died, and said she could have. And they said she could have been saved, if this, if that. But she wasn't. But he was the only person there, and that tell-all book was about to come out. Let's think about that for a moment. This is another investigation, possibly he escaped. How do you escape two major plays like that? It makes you question, does he have someone in the NYPD, LAPD that can shuffle shit along and dish shit out? Could it be? Because I'm starting to think that. Because there's no way you're not the Teflon Don. You're not the Teflon Don. There's no way. Even John Gotti got his balls cut in the Spinks. Even he got caught. There's no way you get away, you escape that. And then on top of that, which I believe, from the what you call it, I believed it before I saw the series, but I believe it even more now. The whole Biggie thing. I said this before. I myself grew up in the hood too. And I've learned that when anytime you have beef with somebody from another hood and you know it's getting hot, you don't go to that hood. You just don't go to that hood. You keep it basic. You keep it to your hood and maybe a neighboring friendly hood that you can go to without no problems. But you don't go to nobody else's hood. Biggie was from Brooklyn like I'm from Brooklyn. And you know this, man. You don't. So Puffy sets a tour out in Cali. Puffy from New York, same rule apply. He know. Why would you want to draw heat? Could it have been that the same guys he used for Pac was the same guys he used for Big? That part we don't know. But you gotta sit here and say, it's a little crazy that 3 murders, Kim Porter, I'm saying it's a murder. 3 murders and nothing. Nothing comes out of it. They don't get nobody. And then the person you get, they tell you everything up front in the beginning. And now, only now, you start looking at it. 50's a smart dude, very calculated. And when you in this business and you in this game, you have to be calculated. 50 knows that this guy, Keefe D, is going up for trial in 2026. But if you get this enough hype and we give enough people to watch it, at some point or another, there's a chance somebody is going to wind up saying, let's open this case back up and let's go over some of the details. Let's put 2 and 2 together. I said this. Sometimes people get away with stuff like that or other things, and they feel like, oh, my luck can't run out. It's like a bank robber. You rob your first 2 banks, you get a couple of million, and he says, ooh, I got 2 million, but I could sure go for 1 more. And that's how you get caught. At some point, this is where you're supposed to have stopped. But you got to think, if he was involved in these murders and these killings, and now he's on drugs, they say that in the beginning, Puffy was never a big drug person. He was never a big drug person. You know, he didn't like it around him. He didn't like to drink. He didn't do none of that. But meanwhile, he's staying up damn near 12 days, 14 days. Energy on 100 max. He's out here doing what he's doing. You got to think that maybe in the background he was suffering. Maybe with all he did, the ghosts were finally coming back. You got to think. You can't do that much damage and not feel the repercussions. You know, and then you got all of these videos showing him, they say it's AI generated. You know, these videos showing him hugging people, talking, laughing, like it's nothing. You know, I worry because when he comes out, I know for a fact, and you can always revisit this episode because we go dig a little bit more, but I know for a fact that something's going to happen. I don't know whether to him or somebody else, but something's going to happen. I say that because, for one, here it is, a guy that felt he was wronged by everybody. He's another Trump. You got to admit, he's another Trump. He felt he was wronged by everybody. So he's going to feel like he has to do something to teach or show you a lesson. He has to do something. He has to do something. Because there's no way you're going to wrong him and hate him that much and he not get you back. Black Rob, Craig Mack. Who would have knew what they would have said if they lived long enough? Who would have known the stories that they would have had? Jodeci, they're around. You don't hear from them. Mary J., they say she got a story to tell. They said that there's a high chance that she told 50. Remind you, 50 said in the early part of the week that he knows more, but he's not going to do that to the people. He'd rather them put their own story out. For a lot of people that say he a douchebag would have just did it. He didn't. 50 just want to see justice done. And people are saying, oh, 50's only doing that because Puff asked to take him shopping. There's not too many men in this world that's going to ask the man, hey, let me take you shopping. It's just not going to happen. It ain't going to happen. You know, but it's deeper than that. You could tell that this was put together, precise, organized. It was put together with purpose to try to help the victims get some type of closure. Do I believe Puffy did all of this? Yeah, I do. I do. Do I believe he should get more time than what he got? Yeah. You know, should he have got life? If they would have came out and said that he was involved in Biggie and Tupac's murder and had hardcore evidence, Keefe D being the lead, yeah. He robbed us. He robbed our industry. He robbed our lives. We don't quite know where Pac or Big would have been in 2025. I can say that they'd have been super big. They would have been the leaders of this industry at this time. All right, so you got Eric Sermon. Eric Sermon talked about how Puff took his girl or his friend or whatever like that because Puff was known for taking other men's women. Could it have been he had some type of fantasy of being with that next man, knowing if he got his woman, he could say he followed after that dude? Possibility. He also did that to 50. He did it to 50. He did that to Eric Sermon. And he did that to I'll Be Sure. He did. He messed around with Homegirl, knowing he started talking to Kim Porter when she was dealing with I'll Be Sure. And he kept pushing and prodding until he got her. And they wind up having 2 kids together, which are the twin girls. But it's going to show you how grimy of a man that he is. Because if I'm a man, why would I want to trample behind another man's back to get a woman that he had? Why do I want to follow behind him? But the biggest highlight of that, out of the women that he took, Kim Porter, I would like to know what her son thinks or what her daughters think. You know, of course they're gonna cheer for dad. But what if dad has something to do with it? What if dad was behind their mothers unalived? Because he was the only one to be with her. And yet he escaped that situation. And the crazy part is, he never once blinked. Within that documentary, it was reported that Puffy had slapped down his mother, called her a bitch, and all types of shit. I mean, damn. You know, when you start beating on your mother, you know you got a problem. But Janice Combs released a statement. The allegation stated by Mr. Burroughs that my son slapped me while we were conversing after the tragic City College event on December 28, 1991, are inaccurate and patently false. Do I believe Puffy smacked his mother? That's not the first time I heard he did something to his mother. That is not. I believe that. I believe that he smacked his mother. Most men that go on stomping outrages and beating every woman that they've been with, at some point they have a hate for women. And I strongly believe he had a hate for his mother. So he beat her too. This is the same woman that groomed him to be this man. So of course he probably would have bust her ass. And I believe he did. I really believe he put hands on his mother. Only time would tell in this situation. He needs help. And I think the only way he's going to be able to get that help if Puffy finds himself locked away somewhere where he can't get any drugs or alcohol. Because if he's being buddy-buddy where he's at right now, 9 out of 10, he's getting his stuff in somehow. We just don't know how. Well, we know how, though. Corrections officers are some of the most dirtiest and grimiest people you can ever come across. And yeah, I said it. And Gary, and I wish you to try to battle me on that. Correction officers are the worst. They are the worst of the city of New York. You know, and mostly any place you go. These guys are crooked by all means. The only thing about themselves, and they say they're doing it for their family, but they crooked. You know, that same jail that Puff was in when he was downtown Brooklyn, he was getting in the Uber Eats orders and all types of things. Food delivered to him and everything. He was living a life, believe it or not. It's sad though. And yet the city does nothing about it. I say that to say this. In order for this situation to get better, something has to happen. Our justice system is crumbling. And it started with Donald Trump, and now it seems like it's continuing with Sean Puffy Combs. People that commit crimes like that need to do their time, especially if it can be proven. Don't get me wrong, I understand that there's some people that have been arrested before and who have done time that didn't do the crime. But the people that have committed the crime and the offenses should do the time. Why did LAPD push this shit over to the side? That's what I want to know. Why couldn't they get Puffy on other charges more than just the RICO Act and the Mann Act? Why couldn't they have gotten him on other things too in a combination? I get it, the FBI go after guaranteed situations because they want to get a positive. They want to get that positive, that win. I get it. But something needs to be looked into. How is it this man operates, drugging people, taking their body without their permission and consent? Some of them, it was permission, and some of them it wasn't. We don't know what happened to Mary J. Blige. We don't know what happened to Carl Thomas. Carl Thomas has not said a thing, and we haven't seen or heard from him. Craig Mack is dead. Black Rob is dead. Mace became an evangelist after that, and he speaks out lightly, but he don't go into facts. But the one thing he did say that if I would have stayed, I would have been caught up in that same stuff too. Shine, jail time, 10 years following behind Puff. And his oldest son ain't gonna speak because it's possible his oldest son shot that guy in that bathroom. Do you see where I'm going with this? Don't believe that Puffy was the trigger man in a lot of shit, but I believe he had the people around him do it. He probably didn't stick that man in the butt first, but he came back behind because he get to say, you did it too. I do believe he implemented people in his shit so he can sit there and say, you did it with me too. And that's how most of these people do it. All right, people. I'm about to end this real quick. I thank you 1000% for continuing to listen to Open Discussion. Remember, we are on YouTube on the Open Discussion platform. Please follow me. And we will be doing, and it started a new year, we're going to be doing a show a week on YouTube every other week. And we will continue to have these regular podcast interview shows. So we're going to be going back and forth, switching it up a little bit. So what you get on YouTube, you won't get over here. And what you get over here, you won't get on YouTube. We're going to switch it up a little bit, but we're going to make it something that you're going to enjoy. Don't forget to tune in. Don't forget to watch. Don't forget me, most importantly.